The wind is here. Buckle up, Colorado. The flags outside the 9 News studios at Spear and Logan are blowing. Now, see, this is a downtime. They're gusty. Like all of a sudden they'll blow and then it stops. It's sort of like asking somebody to smile at a certain time for a picture. You don't always get it. But the wind in Denver is nothing. There it goes a little bit compared to up north. The wind has been so strong. It's been blowing up large dust clouds in Boulder. Look at that. It's just dust everywhere. You can see it's happening here, not far from the NCAR building. That same dust was causing real issues for drivers as well. The dust and dirt blowing across US 36 at McCaslin Boulevard, creating low visibility, really dangerous conditions for cars.
How you experience this is going to depend on where you are. This is XL's outage map right now. At this time, there are more than 77,000 customers without power, many of those unplanned outages. Core Electric is reporting nearly 9,000 outages as well. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. I'm Phil Lipoff.
And I'm Kim Christensen. It is a windy Wednesday. We are in a weather impact alert right now for all of these winds. We've got team coverage for you today from our weather impact team. Corey Reppenhagen out there standing up, trying to stay up in the elements. Kathy Sabin here and Chris Bianchi in the studio as well. We're going to start with Chris, who's tracking the winds right now. Chris, what are the numbers? What are the latest?
Yeah, Kim, just within the last half hour, we got this. Mesa Lab, South Boulder, about an 105-mile-an-hour wind gust. Now, that's in South Boulder. My understanding is that Pearl Street in the main area there in Boulder is now without power because of some of those winds that have been pushing through the Boulder area within the last half hour. But an 105-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Mesa Lab in South Boulder. In fact, had 2 separate wind gusts. And by the way, to Kim's point just a second ago when we were showing you the flags out front and there was hardly anything blowing around there, the wind is coming in short spurts, and that's what a wind gust is. A sustained wind is the average wind speed over 2 minutes. A wind gust is a 10-second average. So that's when we're seeing these kind of brief little rushes of wind. It's not super consistent, but Rocky Flats 97, that's what's leading to all that dust that we're just showing you as well. And 87-mile-an-hour wind gust at the Boulder Airport on the northeast side of town, which is usually the less windy side of Boulder. So that wind really whipping about. We've seen it occasionally mixed down here into Boulder. Did have a 54-mile-an-hour wind gust at I-25 in Alameda just a few minutes ago. Buckeye 62, Fort Collins 46, and the Vance Brand Airport 63-mile-an-hour wind gust. But you look off to the north and west, there's the cold front. This is going to bring us that push of colder air, some mountain snow squalls. And here, Kathy, looks like that this will bring us maybe a bit more wind. What are you seeing right now in terms of how this forecast is shaking out?
I agree with you, and I think our question to each other was, why isn't this wind mixing down to the surface here in Denver yet? But of course, we've got that westerly Chinook influence, and then we're going to get a bit of that Bora influence out of the north and northwest during the evening commute. So if you haven't had a lot of wind yet, count yourself lucky. Weather impact alert continues for critical fire weather and extreme winds, and that wind creating areas of blowing snow with a storm that is incoming, moving east of Salt Lake City into northern Colorado, and there is a wall of wind off to the west. You can see it, and there's also dust. And you know what? In downtown Denver, we've had an okay day. We're sitting pretty. Those guys skiing up at Loveland look good, but the I-70 corridor and some of those higher passes will be dealing with travel impacts from blowing snow. We've come down out of the 70s. We were in the 70s today, into the mid-60s this hour. As Chris mentioned, we've also had some impacts out at DIA with winds now increasing there, and we do anticipate those winds will continue to pick up. We've had a gust to 105, but that 60 to 70 mile per hour gust potential goes for several more hours and then spreads out onto the northeastern plains. So we are going to continue here with a red flag warning and also a high wind warning throughout the evening, because it's just absolutely a dangerous situation for projectiles flying around, difficult travel, and then of course you have the dust. Our meteorologist friend Corey Reppenhagen and boots on the ground out there, and he is up to the west. Corey, are you up by the Golden area now?
Hey, Kathy. Yeah, actually, we've moved over to the Arvada area. We're in the Candelas right now. This is a neighborhood that is pretty famous for their wind. They actually call themselves the Windellas sometimes. And we have seen some of the strongest wind gusts that we have personally felt on our bodies while we were up here over the last 10 minutes. And believe it or not, the wind gusts are not as frequent here either. So same thing like they are down in the other parts of the metro. The wind gusts are coming in about every 5, maybe 8-minute spurts. So, but they're much stronger out here. My teammate Amy Hunter got the tripod, human tripod. She's got the camera on her shoulders as we get a pretty good gust there. Taking a look at the neighborhood, we're seeing we're seeing some Christmas decorations flying around in the wind. Those blow-up Christmas decorations are anchored down. These homeowners did a good job there. You can also see a lot of debris flying around, a lot of paper bags and plastic bags. Now, we are very close to the one of the Jefferson County Republic landfills, and a lot of times when we get these wind events, we'll get a lot of debris flying through the neighborhood. And we have also seen some of those dust plumes coming up from the area, and when the dust comes up, we've actually seen some very organized spinning that looks almost like a dust devil, although the function is a little different. So when you have the strong winds moving next to winds that are not, the difference of the winds actually create kind of these dust devil looking things, and we've seen these dust vortices all through the area here. But the wind just keeps coming in spurts out here. We've seen some 40-50 mile per hour gusts over just the last few minutes, and it seems to still be kind of hanging in there. Reporting from Arvada, meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for the 9 News Weather Impact Team.
Corey, I know exactly where you are. Windellis is a good way to put it. The only blessing is there's no snow to blow across things, because that's scary too. All right, we'll check in with you again later. But it is those dry conditions we're really worried about. It's been so warm. People in Boulder County are especially worried. They've been through this before, just 4 years ago during the Marshall Fire.
And that's where we find 9 News reporter Rachel Kraus. She is near Advent Health in Avista. Rachel, how are things there now?
Yeah, they're pretty strong and gusty, just as they have been all afternoon. Here in Boulder County, we've been seeing those big dust clouds kick in. We've seen tumbleweeds blowing past. The winds have been so strong throughout the afternoon. Our car has even been shaking pretty steadily out here. You know, strong winds are something people in Boulder County are pretty used to, but it's also stirring up a lot of tough memories for folks from the last time the weather was like this 4 years ago. High winds are blowing in through Boulder County.
You know, we have been on edge all week, knowing that we will be having high winds.
This week's weather feels eerily familiar for Sheriff Curtis Johnson. So similar to the day the Marshall Fire started on December 30th, 2021.
Once the second fire, the Marshall Fire, started, I remember vividly driving down 75th Street, which is kind of central Boulder County, and my car just moving in the wind, trying to get to the office to figure out what we've got going on.
Down 36 in Louisville, Chris Schreck was working at Advent Health Avista.
I remember the smell more than anything.
When the fire sparked.
At one point, our nurses were hosing down the grass right outside the oxygen tanks that butt up against the building, outside near the ICU. And they were just wetting the grass so that even if the fire did get that close, the tanks would not go up.
They evacuated patients. The fire came close, but the hospital survived. Chris's home did not.
We lost everything.
She and Sheriff Johnson and more than 1,000 lost their homes in the Marshall Fire. A December return of warm, windy weather brings with it a gust of unease.
There is no fear, there's a sadness. There's a real sadness that this is happening with such frequency.
This time around, Johnson feels better prepared.
Should we get a smoke report or any report of fire, we will have a massive response to that, because we know the faster we get firefighters and all the right resources there, the better chance we have of stopping fire.
Hopeful this weather blows away as fast as it came in.
And hopefully we'll be in a position tomorrow where we've made it through the wind event and we're okay.
The sheriff tells me that Marshall Fire survivors are now a very tight-knit group, constantly checking in with one another through texts and through Slack groups. And of course, they've been checking in today about the fire risks and this windy weather. The sheriff tells me he'll feel better once they've got a foot of snow on the ground and the cooler temperatures to help make sure it sticks around. Reporting live in Louisville, Rachel Kraus, 9 News.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people will. This time of the year, those kind of winds brings back some real terrible memories.
Yeah, awful. All right. Thank you, Rachel.
For travelers, the wind is now just starting to make an impact at the airport. There is a ground delay in effect for flights coming into DIA. And take a live look at the FlightAware's misery map. Oh, okay, we're going to get
How about
right.
like going up to northern Colorado? We're going to get to Amanda
Amanda Gilbert. All right,
because
yeah.
we know northern Colorado kind of got some of this first. So Amanda, tell us what you've seen in northern Colorado and how it's looking now.
Yeah, guys, well, there was some tumbleweeds moving in this field earlier when the wind picked up, but things are actually pretty calm right now. The biggest thing we've noticed up here is just those power outages, rearranging people's days starting early in the morning. So we know Windsor, Severance Fire Rescue, they actually upped their staffing. They had 3 extra firefighters and a additional truck in rotation. But by mid-morning, they were already running on a backup generator. And these first responders have also just spent the day kind of reminding people to be patient. The planned power outage affected streetlights and businesses. One dog grooming business in Windsor found a solution to stay open despite just all this change. So definitely a unique December day that involved a lot of preparation and some problem solving from both businesses and first responders.
The Marshall Fire was a learning experience for all of us in the fire service, especially in Colorado, to take some lessons learned and to try to be better prepared.
So he said, well, I can come back with a generator. So here's what we did. Move the table by the front window, and we have power. As long as we have the light from the window, we're good to go today.
I love that problem solving. Now, one thing these first responders said they've noticed is people calling 911 about the power outages. So they ask people not to do that. Just refer to websites like the Larimer County website or Excel's. Amanda Gilbert, 9 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you. Now we want to get to that ground delay that is affecting some flights coming into DIA. This is the live look at that FlightAware misery map, appropriately named. Right now, it shows there have been more than 200 delays and just about 10 cancellations at DIA so far today.
So the wind is hitting us hard. It's having impacts around this metro area and around the areas around us, northern Colorado, the mountains, everything. Stick with us for continuing coverage of this windstorm as it develops. You can also text the word wind to the number on your screen, 303-871-1491. We know the Eastern Plains are going to feel it too, so we'll text you back with all the links to our weather coverage.